Love, live, life. Life can be glorious and hideous. Stick your feet to the ground, but don't think you are counted out. Don't let the wind pull you and tear you apart. Let yourself live freely and love, and you'll be happy. No limits. Just keep on.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Iron Will podcast with me, Shane Warner, and
John Chase.
So what this podcast is all about is we are trying to get stories from people that have been through a traumatic experience in their lives and came out a different person.
Yeah, they have all created an iron will. So what is an iron will? A burning determination that cannot be stopped or hindered by anything, willing to do anything to get a desired outcome, extremely resilient. So what we like to say is just keep punching.
Yeah. So sit back and relax, and we're going to start the show. So today we are interviewing my co-host, John Chase, about his dad. His dad and him had a really, I don't know what you call that type of relationship.
Well,
what would you call it?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a name for it, but a lot of you guys probably could relate out there. I'll tell you one thing to start is that it finished well. Before he passed away, we had a great relationship. But we're going to talk about the ups and downs. Then go through.
But it wasn't always sunshine.
Oh, it was not.
Yeah.
Not always sunshine.
Yep. And like, if I don't know, the most interesting thing about yours and your dad's relationship to me is like your birthday. Mm-hmm. What birthday was that?
12.
When John turned 12, he got a box of porn, some cigarettes or what?
A whole case of alcohol.
Alcohol.
And a bag of weed.
Yeah, and a bag of weed for
12
for his birthday, and he's 12 years old.
Yeah.
And but that's the type of relationship we're talking about.
Yeah. So coming into this world, I mean, like, if you want to go back and kind of listen to my whole, the whole story, we can do that. Which was
release that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that was like right in the beginnings of our podcast about a year ago, a little over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
And
it's crazy, man.
Dude, we're killing it. I love it. It's you be consistent.
We've been consistent.
Yeah. So, but to get more, because I have so many different stories that we could do a lot of these. But I want to share kind of the relationship that we had and how we had to kind of rebond that relationship towards the end of his life, and then share how I've been able to deal with his death.
Yeah.
So
because weren't you there when he passed?
About a couple hours before. Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's that
day
super hard. And did he have a stroke or what?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
So we'll get into it. So here's kind of a recap of my other story. I grew up in a rough childhood. Some people had it way worse. I have to admit. There were people that, were beaten, all the time.
But
now,
my dad, we always say, you can't compare your story to someone else's story because that's your worst thing you've been through.
Yep.
The other people, that's the worst thing they've been through. So
it's true.
Yeah.
You can't compare people's stories. We all deal with it a little bit different. My goal is, for myself and for others, is to influence a change in them, including myself, so that we can deal with these things better, right? We can deal with the hardships that we've gone through, whatever those hardships were.
Yeah.
Whether it was being beaten or being exposed to sex and drugs at a really young age. So I was exposed to sex and drugs very, very young.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it before. First time I drank alcohol, I was 9 years old, and I stole it.
That's super young, man.
It's really young.
Yeah.
ended up puking all over the, all over my house. And
Yeah.
somehow my parents didn't know, which was weird because my dad probably wouldn't have cared, but my mom wasn't even around. And I'll tell you why they weren't around. Okay, that happened. That kind of stuff happened a lot. From age, I would say like 9 to 12. Actually, let's cut it into like 9, 10, 11 before we finally moved away from where my dad lived.
Yeah. Where was he living?
So at 9 years old, they were still together. 10 years old, they divorced.
Detroit, right?
No, that was when I was
Okay.
a baby.
Okay.
Baby. Yeah, I was Michigan, and then we moved to a polygamous colony in Moab, Utah. You can go on Netflix and watch it.
Oh man,
It's called like
That-
my Three Wives
that's-
or something like that.
that's whole story in it and of
We
itself.
lived there.
Yeah.
We lived in that community. Man, like so let's see, I'm 39, so that would have been like 30. We moved there 37 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's come a long way. They're doing better down there. But anyways, we didn't stay very long, and we won't get too much into that story. But
Did they like try and keep you the guys there? Or,
no,
like,
it was.
what's that religion?
Oh yeah, like the I don't know where you feel like you have like you
Well,
can't leave the community.
Yeah.
No, my
What's
dad.
that called, man?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Scientology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's funny about that is my parents like dove into that a little bit too for a little while in the 90s.
Yeah.
They spent
Scientology is so rich that they just have to buy buildings and not do anything with them.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's just crazy. So the thing is my dad was a sex addict.
Yeah.
Okay. And he always wanted to have multiple wives, multiple partners. And eventually he got my mom to, instead of like her, like, I don't know, like dealing with it and okay, my husband is this way. And he even went to some classes to try and overcome it, and totally addicted to pornography. He would sometimes even bring his girlfriends home to like show my mom, like, look who I'm bringing home. Look at this lady. And I remember being a
I
little
don't
kid.
understand that. Like,
Yeah,
what's
I
the
don't
point?
either. I don't know.
You don't know.
There's control. There's a lot of things where people feel like he's more dominant.
Looking back on that situation, does it bring up like feelings of anger or what?
Not
type?
anymore.
Okay.
It did for a long time. When I was a teenager, clear into my 20s, I had a lot of bitter anger towards him, how he treated
how he treated women in
yes,
general.
Exactly. I'm like,
And the ironic thing is you have 6 girls,
I have 6 daughters.
and maybe that was for a reason,
Yeah,
God
yeah.
works in mysterious ways.
Oh, he does. And man. So my dad was like, you could kind of see he was a very into a lot of that. He eventually got my mom to join him.
Yeah.
So they would swing on the weekends, and we would be there, just a bunch of kids
So
left at the home.
how often did this happen? Like every weekend?
Dude,
or
it felt like every weekend.
Okay.
Because I feel like in the summertime, every weekend I could have friends over. We could
Yeah.
invite 20 plus kids over, just partying in my house.
John's
Dude.
house is the party house.
Yeah, it was. And there wouldn't be any adults at all. And I mean, there'd be kids there that I didn't even know, because everybody knew, like, that's the party house. You just go there and you hang out.
Yeah.
And my older sisters, they would, at that time, if our parents left,
Were they
they would
living
literally
there?
like, yeah. So they would
Okay.
literally, like, my oldest 2 sisters, they would basically be like, well, last one here has to watch the rest of the kids, and they bail too, right? Try to leave for the weekend.
Yeah.
So there'd be some times where the oldest person there would be like 14 for the whole weekend.
That's so messed up, man.
I know. So, and like in those days, we'd we'd go and steal. We stole things all the time.
What types of things were you getting into? Like drugs back then? Or,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a lot of we tried to, I would say, a lot of theft, a lot of vandalism. We would go and break into things. We broke into a school a couple times. We broke into a church a few times. We break into different things and somehow get away with it.
Yeah.
I knew the back roads like the back of my hand. I could jump fences, so I could get away from any cop.
Yeah.
And
no cops out there jumping a fence.
No, they weren't. One time we were hiding, and they had the spotlights on us looking for us, and that was probably the scariest because I was like, "Oh, dude, we're busted." Because I had we can't get out of this. So finally, and I don't know what happened to the other kid that was in the bushes with me. I literally do not. And I booked it, and they didn't even go after me. I think they just went and caught the other kid. I'm like, dude, I'm out of here.
The slower kid.
Yep. Hey, one thing I've learned, I just got to be faster than the guy behind me.
They probably hoped that kid would tell your information.
I didn't even know who he was. We just end up. That was when we broke into a church one time. Anyways, I'm not proud of these things. We laugh because it's like you come to this realization.
Well, we laugh because that's nothing like you are these days.
Not at all.
And you're a super good dude. And how did
I get to this point? So that's what we're talking about. How did I get to this point? So, I have to tell one story. One time my parents were gone. We had like I said, probably about 20 kids over there. We had a big tent in the backyard because my older sister was dating an army dude, and he had like this big, huge army tent. I idolized this dude.
Yeah.
He was 18. He was buff. He was like, he had just gone to basic and came back and just ripped, and he was tough. And I idolized him because I was just this like 10-year-old that was like, dude, this guy, this guy's awesome. And I remember watching him bench 300 pounds. I mean, that's a lot for an 18-year-old dude. He may have been 19 by the time he did that, but still, like benching 300 pounds was huge for me. I was like, whoa, this guy's tough. And so he had this big army tent that he had in the back, in our backyard, and we had everybody camping out in there. Well, there was some construction in that area in Orem, Utah. There was some construction going on. And I had this crazy idea to go and take apart the little, how like they have those little barricade thingies with the lights on them?
Yeah.
We took one apart, and they had these big batteries in them. We took these batteries back to the house.
What? I can't wait to hear where this is going.
Dude, okay, I loved Ninja Turtles at this time, right? The Super Ninja Turtles, right? We
That's
break
not
open
where
this battery.
I thought
No,
this
okay.
is going.
So we break. Well, you'll see why. The Ninja Turtles. I was obsessed with that kind of stuff. So we're going to make the secret of the ooze, right? Dude, battery. If you've ever seen battery acid, it's like the ooze. Okay, it's like the green super ooze stuff. Well, we end up popping one open. This is in my brother's room. We pop one open, and this stuff starts coming out, right?
Yeah.
And it's coming out, and it's getting all over the floor, and it's literally burning a hole in the floor.
Yeah.
His carpet started like melting, and so we quickly had to get rid of the battery. We tossed it over the fence. I don't know why anybody wouldn't think it was us. It's right behind our backyard. Toss it over the fence. Nobody's gonna know it's us.
Yeah,
just a bunch of idiots, right? And then we're like trying to cover up the floor and clean this stuff up. But of course, I mean, everybody's gonna notice that there's a big hole in the floor. And I don't even know what we told my parents later. They probably didn't even care. It's like this time in my life was just so crazy that like I don't remember ever being disciplined ever. Other than the time when my dad grabbed me and my brother and he pulls us in really close and he's like, you guys are going to fix the hole in the wall, because we had been fighting, and one of us kicked a hole in the wall, whatever, hoping it was somebody's head. And we fought all the time, right? And my dad grabs us and he lifts up his left fist and he's like, you get two options here. Well, two options. You can fix the hole in the wall yourself.
Yeah.
Or you get one of these.